Bethany Manktelow here. Welcome to our Millwall fan show with some new voices, but the same focus. Just everything Millwall. Enjoy! Welcome to the 2023-24 series of Millwall No One Likes Us Talkings, our Millwall fan show. I'm your host Bethany Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Gary Staff, Ted Robinson and Stan Godwin.
Not everybody likes them, but they don't care.
Firstly, I would like us to remember former Lion Dave Mehmet, fondly known as Mem, by those close to him. Dave passed this week following a stroke in early March. It is without doubt that he was a treasured Lion, as so many have remembered him across social media and beyond. We will also have tributes and memories of him in this show. Our sincere condolences go out to his family and friends. May Mem rest in peace. Alice, Mem's daughter, contacted us and said, "Just to let you know, I have arranged Dad's funeral to take place at 11 a.m. on Friday the 10th of May at Kamarl Crematorium, located on the A20 Sidcup bypass, and then on to Oxford Road Conservative Club, Sidcup, for the wake. Please can you circulate this message to anyone you know will be wanting to attend." Alice added, "Dad will be leaving Albans in Bermondsey and driven past Millwall. If you know of anyone who might want to see him off from either of these places, I will confirm the exact timings closer to the day. We'll share that information with you via our social media links. Thank you for sharing, Alice, and our thoughts are with you at this time." So, we managed to record 3 defeats in Yorkshire by adding Huddersfield to our list last Saturday. Positivity, in particular, across social media was an all-time low, but come Tuesday night at the Den, with the visit of the league leaders Leicester City, the denizens had renewed hope. Gary, we won by a goal. Is that sufficient to breathe renewed hope into the fans?
Hi, Bethany. Hi, everyone. I don't think anything can breathe renewed hope into our fans at the moment. They're very, very bipolar, and it's very sad to read. Like after the Rotherham and Huddersfield games, it was just like everyone had just given up hope. We were relegated, we were gone, we were this, we were that. I even thought before the Leicester game, if we lose the Leicester game, we've still got a chance of staying up, because we've only got to look around us. Look at Blackburn, look at Birmingham, look at Sheffield Wednesday, look at Plymouth, etc. They're not exactly in the greatest of form. We had our good run, and it could return. And lo and behold, Tuesday night, Ryan Longman smacked one in the top corner and did the job. Our fans, they're very, very frustrating. Maybe it's because there wasn't a social media, and now it's become very rife on the way that everyone puts their views. But I just find it really, really, really frustrating that on a drive home, I'm sitting there looking at my phone, or on the train on the way home. It's just like, come on, please, have some hope. And those boys gave us hope again on Tuesday night. Absolutely.
Ted, what did you make of how we lined up, and was there anything in the jigsaw missing?
Well, evening, Bethany. Look, I mean, I'm getting a little bit fed up about how we line up and whatever way people were talking about this, that and the other. The bottom line was on Tuesday night, all it was about was that if we won the game or not, and we did. And the one thing that Neil Harris said before the game was that he would put a team out there that would run through a brick wall to get the result. And that's exactly what they done. I was a little bit disappointed in the way that Leicester played, in the sense that they're top of the table. Well, I mean, they didn't create that much, and they, Vardy I didn't even notice he was playing. But is that down to them playing poorly, or was it down to Millwall playing well? I just think that that was a performance that I thought this and believed that this team was capable of, because if you look back before the disasters of Rotherham and Huddersfield, we played pretty well against West Brom. And I remember saying to my mate at West Brom, at a West Brom game, I'm happier about this game. I feel more confident about this game than I do about Rotherham on Monday. You know, and lo and behold, we go and lose to Rotherham, but we played pretty well against West Brom. So I knew there'd be a performance on Tuesday night. And they certainly pulled one out, a goal that was worthy of winning any game that football that you go to, without a doubt. And then a miraculous header off the line by Billy Mitchell to ensure that we got the 3 points. But, was there anything in the jigsaw missing? I don't think so. I think that's as good as this side can play. What they need to do is go out and play like that for the rest of the season. I'm sure we're going to be fine.
Stan, who was the biggest contributor to our win on Tuesday?
The guy, in my opinion, who was the man of the match was the guy that scored the goal. I mean, long before he scored that goal, I thought and I've always rated him as a good player. Ever since I've seen him, I thought he was a good player. And because then he then scored, I mean, the goal was brilliant and, no question about that. And then about 10 minutes later, or perhaps a little bit longer, it then came up as he was the man of the match, and I didn't disagree with that. But to be perfectly honest, I turned up there and I sat there through that first half, and I thought to myself, we played okay in the first half. We did all right. And I thought to myself, Leicester's still in second gear. Right, and I thought, if they come out and get in first gear, then we're going to be in some trouble. Right? Now, for whatever reason, they didn't do that, thankfully. But the whole team played well, and the performance that night was brilliant. But we've got to go out, right? When we turn up on Saturday, they've got to have a performance as good as, if not better, than they played against Leicester. Can I just say, Bethany, the biggest contributor to Tuesday's win was Neil Harris. Because I was sitting in Harry's bar when the team went up, and the groans and moans about it because, he's not made any changes or anything like that. Well, Neil Harris stated before the game and put a team out there that went and done exactly what he said. And so, people were quick enough to criticise Neil Harris when things didn't go right. But let's be fair and honest to him. He's gone and beat the championship leaders with a team that he said will run through a brick wall when he done it. So to me, Neil Harris takes all the tributes that are going. I don't have a problem with that, Ted. I mean, because the thing is, right, is every time we get defeated, don't they, or have been, it's, he's got to change it. He's got to change it, right? That happens all the time. And he didn't do that, and as it turned out, rightly so. I wasn't angling for him to change the thing as such. And it works out all well.
I thought Ryan Leonard was my man of the match, the other Ryan, because he had Mavadivi. Literally, he was leaving him alone. They were playing that long ball to him, and as soon as that long ball hit his feet, Leonard was on him because he knew he had that pace to get close to him. At one point, Mavadivi was off the pitch, crying like a baby, and Leonard just walked off, just took one look at him and just walked off. Another credit where it's due. I thought the referee had a fantastic game on Wednesday night as well.
Right, well, we're going to take a break there and hear about our sponsor at G&M Motors.
Hi, this is Jess Tuffield from G&M Motors. Operating from a modern and purpose-built facility in Milton Road, Gravesend, G&M Motors offers a complete range of new Honda cars and services. As well as new Hondas, we have an extensive range of used cars, including ex-Motability cars from a variety of manufacturers. Specialising in new Honda cars, G&M Motors has been retailing quality new and used vehicles to the people of Kent and South East London for over 4 decades. We have been a Honda dealership since 1972 and are the country's longest serving supplier of this renowned marque. Conveniently sited just 2 miles from the A2, 10 miles from the M25 and Dartford Crossing, visitors to our showroom are assured a warm welcome from our experienced and friendly staff. Our facilities include an on-site workshop capable of providing full vehicle servicing and repairs, as well as an extensive parts department offering genuine Honda parts and accessories. The expertise of our skilled mechanics is not limited to just Hondas, but extends to most makes and models of motor vehicles. Whatever your motoring needs, visit us at G&M Motors today. The newly extended hours of our G&M headquarters means that you can contact us from 8 a.m. till 6 p.m. on weekdays and 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. on Saturdays. To contact us, call us today on 01474 365 026.
Thank you, Jess. Debbie Julian's here. Don't forget to call Jess on 01474 365 026. G&M Motors have been dear friends of the Julians family for over 4 decades now, from my dad Lenny to me, Debbie, Lions together.
I'm your host, Bethany Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Gary Staff, Ted Robinson and Stan Godwin. Many thanks to our sponsors, G&M Motors. Why not go along, check out the Hondas and see what else they have on site at Gravesend. Our guest this evening needs very little introduction. He is a most memorable former Lion who really should have won a call-up to the Republic of Ireland. His tenacity and passion when playing for Millwall was unforgettable. He remains in the game today as the assistant manager at Bromley, who are chasing glory. With 387 appearances for the Lions, our record red card holder, 23 goals scored, player of the year, centre-back or full-back or midfielder, and last but not least, a captain. It's the man who possesses Millwall DNA, who they call Dunny, who grew up from a boy in the Millwall Academy ranks. Welcome, Alan Dunne.
Evening, guys. What a lovely introduction. And I think that's the first time you've got everything spot on exactly right. Stat for stat. Well done.
Anyway, evening, Alan.
Well, good evening. Good evening.
So, Alan, before I hand you over to the panel, I must say I was touched by the thoughts of Paul Robinson and yourself on X in respect of the passing of Dave Mehmet. What impression did Mem make on your Millwall journey and even beyond?
Yeah, first of all, like to send my condolences to his family, Dave Mehmet. Yeah, really sad news. I got the message a couple of days ago. Mem was, we had Kevin O'Callaghan as my youth team coach when I was a young boy, me and Robbo. And Kevin brought Dave Mehmet in. And Mem, yeah, what a lovely guy, always smiling, taught me and Robbo, was always moaning at me and Robbo, shouting and always sort of teaching us the sort of old school way of sort of look, man up and sort of get on with it sort of thing. And but nothing but good memories of Mem. I remember seeing him not long ago at Bob Pearson's funeral. We had a beer together, we shared a laugh, and that wasn't long ago. I think it was only last year. So real sad news, and a man who will be greatly missed by many, and someone who put the Lions shirt on, and someone we respect, and will always remember Dave Mem for what he did for the club.
Brilliant. Alan, it's Gary, mate. How you doing?
Gary, very well, all good. Thank you.
All good, mate. Thanks for your lovely words about Mem. He was one of the players I grew up when I was in that 83, 84 era where I remember playing, and he was fantastic memories of that man on the pitch at the old Den. Thanks for the memories that you've given us as well, Alan. As you know, there's been a lot of doom and gloom on social media around the club's permission in the championships. Some of that has been reduced with the great win against table toppers Leicester on the Tuesday night. That followed 3 defeats in Yorkshire. We are still in the relegation mix, unfortunately. What are your personal thoughts on the club situation with Cardiff at home, Sunderland away, Plymouth, and then Swansea on the last game of the season?
I think, like you said, I think huge win on Tuesday. Yeah, huge win. I think everyone never give us a prayer in getting something from that game. I think that win and one more might be enough. I think I'm confident Neil will turn it. Neil will get the job done and keep Millwall in the league. I really am. He's come in and he has picked up some big results in some big games. And obviously, look, it's not easy down there. I don't think anyone would have given us a prayer, say 6-7 weeks ago when he came in. So I think, look, Tuesday night was a huge win, and it just shows it's unpredictable, Millwall. They're unpredictable, and you can never write Millwall off.
Here's a question for you, Alan, on that then. Why is that a thing? Why do Millwall go to places like Rotherham and Huddersfield and to clubs like that? They're such banana skins to us when we think we should go in there, turn them over, and then come away with the 3 points. We always think we should do it, but we never do. Is that some kind of mentality that's always gone through the club, and then we just go and beat the top of the league?
Well, we have the same thing at Bromley. It's not Millwall. We go and beat Chesterfield, and then we go and draw to Kidderminster and lose to York and Hartlepool. So very similar. Yeah. So it ain't just Millwall. It ain't a one-off thing with Millwall. We're having the same problem. You play against the bigger teams, you seem to raise your game. It's just subconsciously you think, right, we could get hurt here, and subconsciously players' minds, they will, no matter how much you can say to them, they will naturally come off it somehow a couple of percent. And at the level of football we're at, all it takes is 4 or 5 players to drop a couple of percent and you can get beat. And we have the same problem at Bromley. When you think you've got it and you play a team that you think on paper you should beat, you don't. And then you go to Leicester like we did at Chesterfield and we win. And we're having the same issue with our own club. So I don't understand it, but I get it. It happens. And if we could do that for as much as the big teams as the teams down the bottom, we would be in a much better situation for sure.
Fair enough.
Evening, Els. Ted here.
Ted, all good?
All good, mate. All good. Yeah, I've got a few questions for you, mate. I was sorry to see Bromley go out to Solihull Moors in the trophy semi-final. I was looking forward to a little Wembley visit, but there you go. They got our boy Nana Boateng on loan. Did he feature in the game, Al?
He did. He played, yeah. He played, and I think he'll play this Saturday. He did play, yes, lively, really lively. And yeah, disappointed. It is a trophy. We have had good success in it before. So we was disappointed not to make it because we was on for 2 Wembleys this year. So, yeah, Nana Boateng, young talent, learning his trade out in the league like Chinakoli did. And he showed glimpses of what he can do. And he'll play this Saturday again, I think, because we got Solihull again this Saturday in a huge league game. So definitely one for the future for Millwall. I mean, they've got a few ones out on loan at the moment that have got potential. And the club's always been good at producing good young talent, and I think that's something the club needs to sort of bring in at least one every year into the first team, because I do feel like we've always had that and we should always have that.
I suppose you classed yourself as that once upon a time, yeah? Good young talent, Al?
Probably, yeah, 35 years ago, probably.
What about Kamarl Grant, mate? He's down at Bromley with you. How's he getting on?
Kamarl, yeah, really like Kamarl. We played Barnet on Tuesday, against a real tough Barnet side on Tuesday, and he was excellent. I think Kevin Nugent, the 23s coach, was there, who came and watched him, and he was excellent, Kamarl. He's got a real sort of resilient, sort of robust sort of DNA in him. So we like him. Strong boy, big long throw in, proper Millwall player, head it, kick it. We'll head a cricket ball for you if he put it in the box. And he's that sort of player, which I really like. I like them players, ones that will edit and kick it for sure.
And what about some of the older ones that, well, us Lions fans remember slightly? Well, he was sitting behind me at Ellen Road, Byron Webster. How's he doing? Is he still freaking along out there on the pitch?
Webby's still going. He's a credit to himself at 37. I think he is 38. He's still going. Webby loves the game, loves being part of it. He started his coaching journey, but he's still playing for us. He's our captain, and what he does do is he's a leader, and we need that. He leads the other lads. They follow suit. They respect him. And Webby's he's everything you want in a captain. Great guy on the pitch, great guy off the pitch, and that's why he's our captain. And I think the young boys really look up to him, especially Kamarl and people like that. They can learn from him every day in every day.
And last but not least, I did like the look of this boy when he was with us, but I could never pronounce his name. Besart Toppalloj, is that right?
Besart, yeah, Besart Toppalloj.
Toppalloj, yeah. I couldn't see myself singing that name somehow down at the end, but he looks a good player to me. How's he been doing for you?
He's a bit of a tongue twister, Besart Toppalloj, isn't it? Yeah. Toppalloj. I have to write up the set plays sometimes, and his surname I always get wrong the spelling of it because it's a tricky one. Toppalloj. I think it's 2 L's and one J. So he's done well, Bez. He got sent off in about a month ago for an off the ball incident, and he got a 3-game red card. So he's obviously not playing at the moment. It's sort of someone else is coming back. He's done well.
Did he learn that from you, Al?
He learned that from me, I think so, yeah. Even though I had a go at him, said, what are you doing? I've made the same mistake. So, lost his head, got sent off, and then lost his place in the team. And he's got to learn that as a young lad. So, but he's been one of our main players this year, Besart. Real talent, good height, one of the best 1v1 defenders I've seen at this level. And yeah, he's got a chance, Besart, to go on and play higher for sure, because he's come through a real good Millwall system, and he's another player that we will think a lot of down there.
What's your Alan? Stan here, mate. Great to speak with you once again. I like what you call the Millwall DNA. Some of our fans get mixed up when they try to describe what they mean as real Wall players and staff. I said I'd ask you what Millwall DNA means to help them.
What Millwall DNA means to help them? The Millwall DNA means to help them means you might not be the best footballer in the world, but every time you put the shirt on, you give blood, sweat and tears. No matter how bad it is or how bad you're playing, you will never stop running and you'll never stop giving it your all. And you might be the worst player ever, but you don't stop and you give your all for the shirt. And I think that's the DNA that Millwall fans want to see. You might have a bad game, you might have a bad touch, but as soon as you put the shirt on, you play for the club, not for yourself. You play for the club and the badge. And there's a certain DNA I think that Millwall players that have past have had. Every week you put the shirt on, good, bad or ugly, you give you all, and that is a given. You give blood, sweat and tears. Come off the pitch, and that's the DNA that I was taught, and that was the DNA that I hope the club will continue to have for a very long time.
Well, that's fair enough. That's clear enough as well, mate.
I think so, yeah.
Alan, it's Gary again. There was some incredible rumours who was going to come in to replace the departing Gary Rowett a few months ago. Your name was mentioned. Then there was the appointment of Joe Edwards. I'd like to hear your thoughts on him, but who clearly he's got some talent and started getting players to play a bit differently, but did not succeed with his tactics or the results. I don't think the results kind of were kind to him in the right way. But obviously the Messiah's back in Neil Harris, which was triggered by a promise to the late John Berylson that he would return if ever the club were in trouble. What are your thoughts on how Neil's done? And you're also just some thoughts on Joe Edwards as well, because obviously he's a young trainer, young up-and-coming coach, manager like yourself. Do you feel a bit frustrated that he didn't quite make it for him, or what are your thoughts on how that went?
Yeah, I've heard, in terms of Joe, I've heard nothing but, look, as a bloke, a great, really good bloke. I think the lads liked him. I think as a coach, the lads said, from what I know, he was a really good coach, a really energetic young coach. But I do feel Millwall lost a little bit of the DNA it needed. And I feel like they've tried to go down an avenue of something different, but you still can't lose the DNA of what the club's about. I don't think you can ever change that. Obviously, Neil's come in and brought that back a little bit for the club. Neil's got a knack of winning football games for Millwall. He's at legend status there, and he's got that knack of galvanising the players and the fans to win football games. He's done it before, and he's proven so. Look, it's disappointing for Joe that it didn't work out, maybe given time and his own squad. But the board have got to make a decision. Do they cut their ties and move on and change on, or do they stick with it? And I think the club are in a situation they don't want to get relegated. And it looked like at one point that Mill were, they're still not out of it, but it looked like at Joe Edwards, it just wasn't the time. It wasn't the time now for that sort of change. And like I don't know the guy, but he's obviously comes with experience. But to change the team midway through a season and change the philosophy of how you play, especially at Millwall, I think was a big ask. So I think they need to go back to basics, and I think Neil's come in and brought that back to basics Millwall mentality, which will in short term win football games for him. And I think if he can build on that, and maybe the squad needs to be rejigged. We know that it needs to be sort of rejigged. We need to bring a forward in. You need to bring a big forward in. It needs a big centre forward there. It always has done. You need a big centre forward playing for Mill, someone you can hit on a target. It's someone you can hit in the box. I think they sort of worked that out now, and they're trying to sort of rebuild, and Neil might be the person to do that.
Good word.
Sorry, Al, we've been asked to ask you some fan in the dugout questions. So here we go. These are questions that have been asked of us to ask you. First of all, who was your favourite player from the past when you were an academy player?
Favourite player when I was academy player? I like Savage and Danny Upton. Is that like I like them? I used to watch them, and Lucas Neal. I used to like them as an academy player. I used to look up to them boys and think that Danny Upton always nicked the goal. Savage always nicked the goal. Grant and them boys, that was like years and years ago, them sort of players. I mean, Lucas Neal was a fullback I liked. He was sort of young one at that time. But when I was academy player at Millwall, it was the likes of Danny Otson and Savage I used to look up to and think, bloody hell, I know looking back on it, they weren't nothing special. But at the time as a kid and an academy boy, I used to look up to them boys.
Yeah, Lucas Neal was a hell of a player and all, when he went on to prove that. Class act, Lucas Neal. We know Kenny Jackett was probably your most favoured manager, but who as a number 2 inspired you?
Number 2, Ray Wilkins, of course. Ray Wilkins was brilliant. Ray was brilliant. He had an infectious aura about him. Ray, he was great to be around. I think the Sir late Ray. I think everyone had a good word to say about him. But he was great to have. Him, obviously under Wisey, it was a lot of good fun and good banter at them times. But Ray is a number 2 for me. Taught me a lot about not only inside of football, outside of football, and just the respect to have with people, and that was Ray. So definitely Ray Wilkins, what a gentleman, and someone else who will also is missed and will always be missed in the game.
Yeah, he always came across as a player's player when he played as well. You know what I mean? How he seemed to carry himself like that all through his career, didn't he? And he obviously took that on into his coaching days.
Complete gentleman. He used to call you. It's just everyone. Yeah, we spoke about. He loved what a player. Even at his age, it takes set plays both with his left foot, right foot. We couldn't do it. We couldn't put the ball on the money where he could. He'd go, right, I'll show you, and he'd go and take them on his left foot, and he'd go, look, I'll do the other side of my right foot. And he was like literally showed out the level of player he was. Great guy, and really got on well with him. And like nothing but good words to say about Ray.
Yeah, I didn't doubt that, mate. But what last one from the fans is what is your most memorable game?
Memorable game at Millwall. God. I loved being at Leeds away. Obviously, my dad was a Leeds fan sort of when he was growing up, so Leeds away was memorable. And I think West Ham, the night where it all kicked off, that was really memorable. Not for the right reasons, but for the wrong reasons. Leeds away when Jimmy Abdou scored for the right reasons, and then obviously for the wrong reasons, West Ham away just because of the crowd trouble and the whole thing kicking off, and it was a night you wouldn't forget. So,
was it about the 88th minute when they equalised after they won it with
pitch invasion, horses, people in your face, people throwing beer, people running past you. Minty from EastEnders, he definitely ran past me.
It was about 20 of them now.
It was a crazy night. But that again memorable in the wrong ways. But Leeds away winning that to go to Wembley for the first year when we went there, and brought the support we brought at Scunthorpe was a phenomenal night. So yeah, Jimmy Abdou never scored. So for him to score, that was definitely memorable.
Well, I'm with you, Al, on that game. That's my most memorable game. I mean, the cup final and things like that are great, and the semi-final. But there was nothing better in my life than being one of the Millwall fan at that game, with all them Leeds fans feeling sorry for themselves as they went out the door. Out of it, it was a fantastic, and I think even dear old John, bless him, he enjoyed that when he came across, and that at the end when we was all there, it was fantastic, mate, fantastic.
Yeah, John loved that, and I think our coach ended up getting the back window ended up getting popped. I think we had to wait for another coach to come up. I think that was the night.
Well, I remember walking out the ground, it was like walking into Beirut. I don't know what sort of punch up they had with the police that night, but they smashed everything up. But it was lovely. I enjoyed every minute.
Yeah, insane atmosphere, brilliant.
Sorry to your dad.
Great night. So many memories, but yeah. No, that's all right. No, he was happy in one breath, but yeah, he was buzzing. He was buzzing. So I'm going to be wrong. He was buzzing, but yeah.
All right, he's Stan here again, Al. A couple of final questions, mate. What formation do you normally play at Bromley?
We play 3-5-2, 3-5-2, 3-4-3. So we play three big centre halves, athletic centre halves, 2 flying wing backs, 2 centre forwards. So you've always got 2 up top, and then 3 in the middle of the park who are just grafters. One a ball player, the other 2 just rat about and smash people and just run about. That's generally what we play, 3-5-2. That's what I like. And
right, okay. Do you think the style of play, as allegedly brought to English football by Pep Guardiola, as being the standard that football in England will aspire to for the foreseeable future?
A good question, but it all comes down to everyone's philosophy is different. I'm all for ball playing if there's a purpose to it. We got teams in this league that'll have 60 passes and not have a shot on goal. There's got to be a purpose to it. So Pep does it, but there is a purpose to it. I think there is a fine line between playing well, playing good football, and not winning, or playing good football and winning. And it's ultimately about winning and ultimately about creating opportunities. I'm all for it if you create opportunities. If you come off the pitch and say, look, we had keeper had a great game, made loads of saves, we dominated the game in their half, brilliant. There's no point in dominating the game in your own half and having one shot and going, well, that was good, we played well. So it's how you view it. You've got to affect the other keeper. You've got to create goal-scoring opportunities, whether that's with long ball or short ball, whatever one works for you. But you've got to be able to create opportunities. And ultimately, at the end of the game, if their keeper's had a tough night and their centre-halves come off thinking that's been a tough game, then you know you've done something right, with whether you play or you go in long. That's my look on it.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you have to have an end product with these things. I mean, there's no question about that. Right, okay then, mate.
Alan, thank you so much for joining us tonight, talking about your memories of Mem and sharing your wider football thoughts. As usual, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on the show. But before you leave us, as is the tradition, please could you give us your prediction for Millwall v Cardiff on Saturday?
Have I ever got any of these right? I never know if I've ever got these right. But I'm going to... I never know if I've got any right.
Well,
do we write them down?
Let's just say you're going to get this one right, as long as you say that we're going to win, right?
Yes, right. Millwall Cardiff. Okay, I'm going to go for a 3-1 win Millwall. On the confidence of beating Leicester, I'm going to go 3-1 Millwall. Bosh.
If you're right, Al, we'll mention it next week.
Please, thank you. Cheers. Good man. Good man.
So,
yeah, cheers, mate.
Great. Until next time, and hopefully another season in the Championship. All the best to you, Amy, your daughters, and of course Bromley. Thanks for coming on, Alan.
Thanks, guys. Pleasure as always.
Cheers, Alan. Thanks, mate.
Cheers.
Bye.
We will take a break there and hear about Harvey's Den Cafe with Ellie Milliken.
Hi Ellie, lovely to see you here up in Harvey's Den again. And of course you've taken over from the Brown family. Cafe that they have here is just wonderful. Millwall shirts on the chairs, blue and white tablecloths, blue chairs, and all you guys in Millwall kit.
Of course.
Tell me, what goes on? When are you here? What can we expect?
We're here Monday to Friday from 10:30 till 5 every day, open to the public. Everyone's welcome. We're open every match day from 11:30 till 2:30. We've got a new family, a new little CAF team, and the girls up here are all lovely and friendly.
So who are the girls that are up here?
We've got myself, Ellie, of course, and then we've got Nicole, who works during the week. We've got Michelle, who also works during the week. She's lovely. And Lena, who works on a match day. And my mum, Ellen, who's very well known.
Very well known.
She also helps out in here from time to time. So we've got a lovely little family team.
To look after the community. Exactly. Wonderful stuff. So what's on offer at the cafe these days?
We've got everything from chicken burgers to paninis to full breakfasts, tea, coffee, hot chocolate, soft drinks, snacks, everything you could need.
So it's all here, all available, a great team to serve it up to you. Well, what else can I say but carry on in Harvey style here at Harvey's Den Cafe, and all the best to you, Ellie, and your team, and I look forward to coming up and enjoying some of the fare in not the far distant future. Well, in fact, I've already done that. The coffee is just superb. Thanks, Ellie.
Thanks, Eamon.
I'm your host, Bethany Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Gary Staff, Ted Robinson and Stan Godwin. Monday to Friday and match days, get on down and say hello to the team at Harvey's Den Cafe. The next section of the show is dedicated to the late Dave Mehmet, with more memories to share with you. Let's listen to No One Likes Us Talking's Phil Coleman, a former Lion, Mem's teammate and friend, who shares his thoughts and memories.
It is with much regret and sadness that I come on the show this week to talk about my great friend and teammate, Dave Mehmet, who sadly passed away this week. He never recovered from a stroke that he had a few weeks ago. I grew up with Mem. He was always there from the under-15s training at Crofton Park with Billy Neal. He was there together when we both signed apprentice. We played together in the youth team. We played together in the reserves. Dave was in the team when I made my first team debut. And we were both sold. And we were both returned to be together again in the 86-88 seasons when we won the second division. Dave was a local lad from the Peeps estate, literally a short walk to the den. Dave made it pro, played in the first team. He was in the first team at age 17, scored the youngest scorer for the club. He's also the only person I know that's played 100 games for the club in his teens. We won the FA Youth Cup together. Dave took the free kick that led to the first goal against Man City in the final. And then not long after that, we were both sold. Dave went off to Tampa Bay in America, but he returned, played for Charlton and Gillingham. And then, thanks to Bob Pearson, we both returned in 86 for our second spell. I know Dave played well over 300 league games. He loved playing. He loved coaching. What a talented player he was. What stands out for me was his ball control. Dave could juggle tennis balls for fun. He found space. He had a range of passing. He was two-footed. He could pass 10 yards or 60 yards. He could chip it with both feet. He was fearless. You had to be, in them days, 17 years old playing in the first team. He had a great attitude for the game. Indeed, he was still playing at age 40, and he's coached a good few clubs as well. After he packed up playing as a pro, he played for Fisher, Maidstone, Barnet, Enfield, and coached a load of non-league teams in the Kent and South East London area. Mem was the first young player from our youth team squad to get into the first team at Millwall. Mem led the way for me. He busted through the door into the first team, and we all realised it was achievable, and we followed him in. Later on, Dave was a good family friend. He was a decent bloke. He looked out for my brother in tough times. He supported other people. He came to our family parties, but Dave was always there when we lost our family members. He attended our funerals and has been an absolute support. Gonna miss you, Dave. Top man. Rest in peace, Lion.
That was lovely to hear Phil's words. It's so difficult losing a friend. And I'm thinking of Phil at this time. So I'm going to ask our panel what memories they have of Dave. Gary, what memories do you have?
As I mentioned earlier, Mem was one of the players, part of that team, if I'm remembering right, 83, 84, 85, I think it might have been in the George Graham area. That was when I first started realising who Millwall were, same age as my son now, who met his hero again today, Zian Fleming. And Mem was one of my heroes back then, along with like Lovell and Lowndes and players like that in that fantastic team. Mehmet was a lovely, amazing guy who was just epitomised what Millwall was about, and just got great memories of him being in a Millwall shirt. And yeah, just lovely memories of an amazing man. And they're all dying too young. And Mem will always be remembered for and be a Millwall legend who was part of a very good, strong side that escaped that relegation and drove us up the league again.
Ted, what are your memories of Dave?
Well, I think the biggest tribute I could give to Dave Mehmet, because in my 64 years of supporting Millwall, I've seen many young players come into the team, and the one that always stood out in my memory was Dave Mehmet. He was an absolute fantastic footballer who was, for his age, he was a 17-year-old that played like a 28-year-old. He, as Phil quite rightly pointed out, he was fantastic with both feet. He could dominate a game from the middle of the park. He could see a pass better than anyone. I just, nobody ever came into my mind for all the many good, very good young footballers that have come out of Millwall's academy or youth team or whatever, but none of them in their first game for Millwall ever stood out like Dave Mehmet did to me. He was everything that I wanted to be as a footballer, and I think that's probably the biggest tribute I can put to him, because there's some very, very good players behind Mem, as I'm mentioning there. My only regret for Dave was that I felt when he went to America, we lost a fantastic player that would have been an ultimate Millwall legend. I still think he's a bit of a legend to me anyway, but I think he would have been an ultimate legend if he'd have stayed at Millwall, a bit like Barry Kitchener, for example. But Mem, for me, had everything that you wanted in a footballer, and my condolences to all his family.
And Stan, what are your memories of Dave?
I only ever see him play about 3 or 4 times for Millwall, because at the time he was playing, I used to work on the underground doing shift work, and then I used to play footballs on the Saturday, so I couldn't always get to Millwall as much as I would have liked to have done. But when I watched him play, I mean, he struck me as he always seemed to be a step ahead of everybody else. You know, that's the impression I got of him. And the other thing I've noticed in the past, any time over the years when people talk about the FA Cup winning team or the youth team, the first name that always gets mentioned from anyone, in my experience, has been Dave Mehmet. It's the very first person that ever gets mentioned, in my experience, when they refer to that not just a win, but the actual journey to the actual final. You know, and I've listened to other people, people like Ted, who's obviously see a lot more of him than I did, and even a mate of mine who's a Charlton supporter, and also a relation of mine who's a Charlton supporter as well. You know, they spoke highly of him as well. Got absolutely no doubt that all these being said about him is factually correct, and it's always a sorry loss, you know. And I mean, you could tell how much in Phil's case. I mean, he's always struck me as an emotional guy, Phil. But I mean, when we was talking then, I thought, you know, he was struggling, and it's a sad loss, not only to his family and whatever, but also to Millwall, I think, in general. Rest in peace, Dave Mehmet.
So, former Lion and the captain of that Millwall FA Youth Cup winning team who had Dave Mehmet in the side. Here are Paul Roberts' memories.
Good evening. On behalf of the Roberts family and David's football family of 1979, the FA Youth Cup winning team, we would like to send our deepest condolences to all of Dave's family, his ex-wife Lee, his daughter Alice, and the rest of his family. Our thoughts and prayers are with them at this difficult time. Obviously, I'd like now to take the opportunity to say a little story about Dave Mehmet that not many people know. So I'd like the Millwall listeners to listen to this story. In 2015, the coincidence was that one of my good friends, Andy King, passed away, who played for Everton Football Club. And I went to the funeral. The funeral was at Everton Football Club. And obviously afterwards, the wake was actually in one of the lounges at Everton Football Club. So as we've gone back to the wake, in one of the lounges at the football club, I'm sitting there with obviously a lot of ex-Everton players and numerous other people there. And as I was sitting there having a drink, Kevin Ratcliffe and Mark Ward came into the company. And the last time I'd seen Kevin Ratcliffe was that he was captain of the Everton team in the 1979 FA Youth Cup semi-final. So as we're having a beer, I said, Kevin, listen, I said, you won't remember me, I said, but I last see you in 1979. I said, and we played you in the FA Youth Cup semi-final. I said, I was the captain of Millwall, and obviously you was captain of Everton. He went, wow. He said, I can't believe it. He said, listen, like 30 odd years ago, it's unbelievable to meet you. He said, Kai, he said, listen, he said, I'm just trying to remember the game. He said, what a fantastic youth team you had. He said, listen, he said, Kai, he said, I tell you what, he said, who was that ginger kid in midfield? What was his name? I said, his name was Dave Mehmet. He went, Kai, he said, what a talent. He said, he was unbelievable. He said, he absolutely ran the show for the 2 games, he said. He said, if you can remember, he said, in our team at that time, he said, we had Steve McMahon in centre midfield. And he said, and do you know what? Steve McMahon loved himself. He said, and Steve McMahon was always like really chirpy and like, right, Scouse boy. He said, then he got to move to Aston Villa. He said, and he said, then he then went on to Liverpool. He said, when Liverpool obviously always come back, he like played Everton in the derby. I think they went on to win the double. He said, and he's always like cocky as anything, saying what a good player I am, what a good player I am, and how good I am, and I run the show. And he said, always we used to say to him, he said, listen, do you never remember that little ginger boy, like he said, who played with Millwall? He said, in the FA Youth Cup semi-final, he said, for 2 legs, he said, you couldn't get near him. He said, and you couldn't tie his bootlaces up. So he said, every time he said he'd come to be chirpy, he said, listen, he said, all we ever used to say to Steve McMahon was, listen, that little ginger boy, he said, at Millwall absolutely murdered you. He said, he was fantastic. And I said, God, I said, it was an unbelievable story, you know, and that was just our high in regard that Dave Mehmet was held at that time of his career. In his youth days, he obviously was such a fantastic player that even the Everton boys even remembered it to this day. And that, as I said, that funeral was in 2015. So that was like nearly 30 odd years after we played him in the FA Youth Cup semi-final. That obviously the last time I see Dave Mehmet was at a reunion in 2023 on the Dockers Day. And I had the fortune to tell him that story with a few of the 1979 boys sitting around having a few beers. And Dave being Dave, he's such a laid-back attitude. He just looked at me and zipped to say, well, Rob, what do I do? He said, that's all, you know, it's how I played. And what I cherish is that I actually did tell him how much the Everton players did think of him. And it was just like, you know, I'm really pleased I told him. Obviously, I've used that opportunity to share a story with you about Dave Mehmet whenever I remember Dave, who was a lovely former teammate and a dear friend, and he will be sadly missed. May he rest in peace. All love, Paul Roberts. Thank you.
That's lovely. Thank you, Paul. We now have No One Likes Us Talking's Jeff Burnage, a former chairman and board member at Millwall, who shares his memories.
Now, of course, this is really sad news, but I have many memories. I was at every single Youth Cup tie in 1979, including both legs of the semi and the final. The final was a very emotional night indeed for my dad and myself, because it was his decision as chairman to build the best youth policy in London, and this was a great vindication. Later, Mem went to Tampa Bay Rowdies with Tony Kinsella as a pro, which kept the club afloat under another chairman. My final playing memory of Mem is his last goal as a pro for Millwall. It was for the reserves against Bristol Rovers at Mansfield United or some other non-league ground down there. Don't know why I went, can't imagine. But he scored a great volley that night and told me that was going to be his last game as a pro. Much later, he was employed by myself and Bob Pearson as a youth coach and then head of academy recruitment. I'm really going to miss him. He was a talent.
Great memories, Jeff. Thank you for sharing. In remembering Dave, we cast our mind back to when he joined Millwall for the 3rd time, as mentioned by Jeff. On that occasion, he became the Millwall Academy Director. Back in November last, our Ted Robinson asked Dave on this show about his time with Millwall Academy.
Can you tell us about your involvement and what frustrated you about the recruitment after you left?
Basically, Millwall's had a great academy. Since Bob Pearson set it all up from when I was a kid, from I was about 15, 16, Bob come in and he set this academy up, and his goal was always to be #1 academy. Gradually getting there, to be honest with you. When I went there, we was playing Arsenal, Chelsea's. Yeah, we was playing Arsenal under 19s. We had Fabregas, Senderos, Stokes, had about £10 million worth of players, I'll say, on the pitch. We competing with them, not competing with them, we beat them. Right? And Liam Brady come up after the game, he went, how does Millwall do it? And that gives you great confidence in what you're trying to achieve. And I say Bob Pearson's goal was always to be number one. It was trying to get in Category 1, playing your Arsenal, Chelsea's, all them type of teams, week in, week out. And that's how you judge what you got as young kids coming through the system. You're playing against the best, you know what you got. And when I left, Theo left. And Theo was all up for the youth football, to give him his due. A lot of people don't agree with a lot of things he'd done, but I will say so, I'll stick up for him. Youth football was his goal. He knew that was the way the club had to go. And when I left, about 6 months later, it took them all that time to get in this Category 1, getting all the certain things done and whatever. And it took them 5 minutes to come out of it. And that's what disappoints me. Now you're not judging your players against... I do think they still play them kind of sides, not on a regular basis. So when I left, it took them 5 minutes to come out of it. I know a lot of it's to do with finances, but the only way you can judge really what kids you got coming through the system is by playing the best. I think that's where Millwall's missing a trick at the moment.
That was great to hear that again, Ted. Have you got any further memories about Mem from being on that show?
Well, I think what I took away from that show, I mean, I knew what a fantastic footballer he was, and I had an idea that he was the sort of guy that other people fed off of, you know, because Dave Mehmet would lead you. He would be a person that, through his talent, led you. And I didn't really know too much about him as a coach, in a sense, but it was obvious in them times that he had a big influence on all the young academy people. He was a giver, Dave. He gave himself to a football club. He gave himself to young lads that were coming through. He showed them what was the right way to be a footballer and to become a success as a footballer. He had a stature that was, as I say, it was always far above his age. He just seemed to know what was the right things to say and do. Obviously a massively gifted man as a footballer, and obviously an absolutely massively gifted person, in my opinion.
Absolutely. May Mem rest in peace. If you want to hear the full interview and a previous interview from January 2021, we will place them on our social media sites next Wednesday. We're going to take another break there and hear about the Lions Food Hub.
Hi, Harvey Brown here. I am proud of the Lions Food Hub, which is jointly owned by Kelly and Ellen Webster, and they have been supporting families within our community for over 2 years on Millwall match days. If you would like to donate to them, they have a match day donation hub by the SE16 bar at Toppalloj Lane, end of the ground, where they accept any food or money and toiletry donations. If you can help, any donations will be received with thanks.
I'm your host, Bethany Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us talking team of Gary Staff, Ted Robinson and Stan Godwin. Online they are saying, after this Saturday matchday donations, we only have one more game. If there is anything you can donate to help us through the off-season, please come along and see us. You are the best supporters in the land. Check out social media for their needs. Now, let's hear from Ellis Barr. Keep us updated.
Hello, Ellis here, and I'm glad to be back talking about Millwall. I know many have watched my videos, so you will all know that I don't wear splints as much anymore. Thanks for your support along the way. It is now time to hear what all the Millwall teams are up to. Come on, Millwall!
First up, let's hear from Paul Lodin talking Millwall Romans and Eamon talking Pride, plus Paul's prediction for Saturday.
After a nearly sort of 3-week break, the Romans were back in action last weekend away to Stonewall FC in the London Unity League Cup. We played Phoenix in the first round and managed to beat them at the end of January, and drawn against Stonewall FC in the quarter-finals away in East London. The game was obviously windy conditions last weekend. The game started off pretty good for us. Within the first 10-15 minutes, we managed to score. But from that point onwards, the wind was against us. It didn't seem to flow through the midfield very well. Certainly lacking a bit of width on the wings. They did score with about 15 minutes to go towards the end of the half with a very poor goal to concede, and then scored another couple of minutes after that to make it 2-1 going in at half-time. We came out in the second half looking a lot more aggressive. Stonewall was certainly up for the game, very physical. Our tactics were to try and play a bit more width in the game, push the fullbacks forward as much as we could, and then bounce passing off from the centre midfielders, from Will and Fernando, which creates us a load of space that then we can get round the back of the defence. First 20 minutes, it didn't look like it was going to be our day. We just seemed to lack that final third, knowing what to do, getting a bit frustrated, shooting from 30 yards out, which the keeper had a very, very good game. And it just didn't seem to see that it was going to be our day. However, we did manage to win a penalty, nicely slotted home by Fernando, which then led to another goal about 5 minutes after from Richard Nichols, who's been pushed up front. Great worked goal. He worked hard to get there and slotted it past the keeper. And it was just a bit of game management for the last 10 minutes. I think certainly they'd run out of ideas. We were then controlling the game for the last 10-15 minutes. So in the end, it was a nice 3-2 win. So a good result from Romans in the London Unity Cup. That puts us through to the semi-final. It's our old arch rivals, Charlton, again in the semi-final. So we faced them in 2 semi-finals. The LUL is still to be arranged. The GFSN semi-final, though, has been arranged for the 20th. It's Saturday the 20th, 11:30 kick-off over at Greenwich University in SE9. That's a 11:30 kick-off. That is the GFSN semi-final. That's going to be a tasty one.
Millwall Pride, the second team, they played Charlton in a crucial game in League 2 of the London Unity League and fell to a 2-0 loss. That will probably dictate that Charlton will be the runners-up in that league, barring some disaster happening.
In other London Unity League news, we had a good result come through from the Charlton versus Phoenix game yesterday. We dropped a few points at the start of the season. Obviously, the start when we played at Soho, dropping points, playing Titans, dropping points, and losing to Charlton in the league, as well as beating Charlton in the league. We do need some results to go our way. And luckily enough, Phoenix put in a master display yesterday against Charlton and beat them 4-2, which is now really put it back into our hands about whether we are going to win the league. Our fixtures looking forward, we have got to play Stokey FC again, who were top of the league until we beat them on our previous fixture at 13-1, which was a cracking result from us. We do need to play Phoenix twice, and we do need to play Stonewall twice as well. None of which are going to be easy fixtures, but at least it puts it back into our hands. As long as we win every fixture, we're looking good to win the LUL. Well, looking at the Millwall team itself, we're desperately going to need a couple of more points to secure things. Let's say Millwall Cardiff this weekend. I'm going to say Millwall 1-0.
Jeff Burnage reported for Maritime on Millwall Lionesses' trip to Sussex to play AFC Crawley Women.
Here on Greenwich Drive. Now, as I promised earlier, it's time to get a report from the most recent match from the Millwall Lionesses in the London and South East Women's Regional Football League. They were away to Crawley, and let's find out how they got on from Jeff Burnage.
Millwall Lionesses returned to winning ways with a well-deserved 4-1 victory against AFC Crawley on Sunday. The game was played at a very windy Three Bridges FC, under which banner Crawley will be completing next season. Joint managers Alex Russell and Adam Rowland kept faith with the very youthful back four containing 3 under-18 players that had played in the last match. Billy Burgess, 16, retained her place as centre-back after a brilliant debut. And she partnered first Poppy Payne and then later Sarah Chapman, who was returning after missing that last match. Liv McGregor was fit to take her place up front alongside Chloe Fowler, and they both scored in the match. Fowler scored the first from the spot after she had been brought down in the box, and McGregor later scored the third in the second half. The second goal in the first half had come from 17-year-old left-back Emel Hussein. It was her second goal of the season. Sarah Chapman, assisted by the wind, had pulled one back for Crawley, so it was 2-1 at half-time. After the interval, Millwall improved a lot as the wind died down, and they had Grace Seeley and Kira Watling pulling the strings in midfield. Another 16-year-old debutant, Daniela Menezes, came on for a very impressive and mature debut, and it was Watling who went on to score the fourth goal for the Lionesses. I managed to catch up immediately after the game with co-manager Alex Russell. Alex, what did you make of today's game?
It was, pardon the cliche, a game of two halves. First half, I didn't think we were particularly great, but we come in at half time, broke the game down, spoke about where our strengths would be, and come out and put in a better display in the second half.
And three of the back four, once again, from the under-18 squad.
Yeah, absolutely, and they don't look out of place, which is always promising. The pathway that, not just the back four, but we've produced and developed and progressed in the under-18 since the first team on a number of occasions, and they always do well and always stand and hold their own. So, yeah, credit to the girls. Danny also stepped up and should put in a good display to do. And
I believe the 18s won their game against Fulham on Saturday.
Yeah, 1-0 win, always promising, and hopefully they can finish the season on a high.
Thank you very much, Alex. Look forward to next week.
Cheers, Jeff.
Bye.
Thanks once again to Jeff Burridge for the Millwall Lionesses report, and let me tell you they'll be back in action at the St Paul Sports Ground in Rotherhithe on Tuesday the 23rd of April for their penultimate home game of the season against Enfield Women. It's a 7:30pm start. Do come along. Wednesday the 23rd of April.
There are 12 points up for grabs on our 4 remaining games. On Saturday we face the Bluebirds of Cardiff at the Den. Cardiff have won 2 and lost 3 in their last 5. Their last win was at Birmingham on Wednesday night. They are in 11th spot with 59 points and are without a hope of a playoff spot. We have lost 3, drawn 1 and won 1 in our last 5. We've got 47 points and 4 points above the drop zone in 17th spot. We still desperately need points to draw away from that relegation zone. Nisbet and Brian are due to return to our squad for Saturday. The odds are shortening for a Millwall win, now at 4-5. The draw is 9-4, and a win for Cardiff is 4-1. How do we see this one going, and what score prediction would you make? Gary?
First and foremost, I think we're going to win. I think it'll be not an easy game because obviously Cardiff nicked the result in midweek against Birmingham, I believe you said. But I just want to say I was at the Millwall Community Day today, the Easter Fun Day thing at the Lion Centre. Brilliant day. All the players turned up. Lovely to see. They sat there for 2.5 hours signing everyone's balls, shirts, whatever they had. And well done to every player for putting themselves out for the afternoon. But I spoke to one or two of them. I had a laugh with likes of Honeyman and Fleming and stuff. But Hutchinson and me both agreed when I had a quick chat with him. He said, one more win and I think we'll be okay and we can start relaxing a little bit. So I agree with him and I think that win will come Saturday. And I think if you want the prediction now, I will go 3-0 to us.
Love it. Ted?
Oh, that would be nice, 3-0. But you've got to be careful with Cardiff. They got some players that can cause you damage up front in Manktelow, who always seems to play well for us when he played with Reading. Carlin Grant is another one who's been a little bit of a thorn in our side from time to time. But look, after Tuesday night's game, with the likes of Nisbet and Brian coming back hopefully into the squad, and I've heard maybe Watmore as well, making that squad all that much more stronger. I can't see us losing it. I mean, the other nice thing about the game is there's always a little bit of spice between us and obviously Cardiff who are Welsh, which whether that's got anything to do with it, who knows, but I think it probably has. But I think it's an ideal game to follow up the Leicester game, Bethany, and I think I'm not quite as comfortable as Gary, but I think 2-1 on Saturday is a win to us.
Great. And Stan, what are your thoughts?
Just to repeat what I said earlier, I mean, I'm confident that we can beat Cardiff on Saturday because, and when I say that, I'm not just saying all we've got to do is rock up, by the way, and it's there for the taking. I mean, for us to win the game, we've got to show the same amount of effort, work rate, passion, whatever you want to call it, right, that what we showed on Tuesday night. And I think if we then do that, I think we'll be okay, and I predict a 2-0 win. It's all about attitude.
Yeah, I agree. It's nerve-wracking being in the position that we are, but we did have such a great game on Tuesday, so I think hopefully that's sort of given them a little bit more confidence, and I'm going to go for a 2-1 win as well, just like Ted. We will take a break there and hear how we can all support our Millwall Community Trust through sponsorship. The Millwall Community Trust, something that I, Bethany Manktelow, admire for all that it does. The Trust was established in 1985, works to provide sporting, education, social and healthy lifestyle opportunities to the local community in Southwark, Lewisham, North Kent and the wider community. Its work is targeted at people of all ages, irrespective of race, gender or sexual orientation, and runs programmes aimed at tackling social exclusion, racism, knife crime, lack of employment opportunities for young people, mental health and disability issues. The Trust aims to be a progressive and campaigning charity that makes a difference to ordinary people's lives. Its work is undeniably essential to the local community. They have sponsorship opportunities to support this work. Email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. I'll say that again. That is email commercial@millwallcommunity.org.uk. Please help if you can. I'm your host, Bethany Manktelow, and with me I have the No One Likes Us Talking team of Gary Staff, Ted Robinson and Stan Godwin. If you can donate, you will help our Millwall Community Trust to deliver all their programmes across all age groups to people within our community. We are all looking forward to the next game, but in the meantime, here are a few matters of interest for Millwall fans and those interested in football.
Stan went along to the Millwall History and Heritage Tour on the 23rd of March, which incidentally was Miles' 18th birthday. Let's hear what Stan had to say.
I went along to the Millwall History and Heritage Tour. Now, some of you will be familiar with this. It's advertised and it's about doing the tour around the Isle of Dogs and learning all about what Millwall was about and going to the various sites. In my experience was the tour, which was done by Rob and Michael, who lead the thing, done very well. I think the tour was very good. And they're planning to do another one again in September where Phil Coleman is going to be in attendance. And you will see it advertised in the normal way. And the tickets are £12. And I have to say that is, in my opinion, good value. And everybody on the tour, they all rated the tour. So I would recommend anyone, when this comes up, to put their name forward to go on the tour because you'll enjoy it. You've got a lot of walking to do, but it's very good.
The next trip, as Stan thankfully told us there, was on the Saturday, September the 7th, and also mentioned by Stan, our Phil Coleman is their featured guest on the tour and looks forward to meeting all who join the trip. He also promises not to talk about the FA Youth Cup final winner story. Heard that a few times. You can find further details and book by going to eventbrite.co.uk. I'll say that again. Eventbrite, that's eventbrite.co.uk and search for Millwall History and Heritage. Tickets are priced at £12 each.
Our Millwall fan show will be back next Friday with the delightful Bethany. She will host the beautiful Debbie, the wonderful Dave, and of course Stan, with former Lion Anton Rogan and the farthest travelled Millwall fan Gianluca Sardi. Also, Millwall Lionesses are back in action on Tuesday, the 23rd of April, when they face Enfield Town for a 7:30 kick-off at St Paul's Sports Ground, Rotherhithe. Why not arrange to get along and give the Lionesses the support they deserve?
Well, I've got mine. Have you got yours? The exciting Millwall under-18s take on Swansea City in the Professional Development League Cup final next Wednesday, 17th of April. Kick-off at 7 p.m. at the Den, and the tickets are now on general sale. Tickets are priced at £5 for adults and £1 for under 16. Wheelchair and ambulant disabled supporters need to call 020 7740 3470 to book tickets between the hours of 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Thursday, and 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. on Fridays. I say that again. Wheelchair and ambulant disabled supporters need to call 0207 740 3470 to book tickets between the hours of 9:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday to Thursday, and at 9:30 a.m. till 4 p.m. on Fridays. See you there to roar on the young lions.
Don't forget you'll be able to listen to the No One Likes Us talking team bring reports from our games both home and away for the Lions, Lionesses, Romans and Pride, and also updates on Millwall community matters too on Maritime Radio, broadcasting on 96.5 FM. Additionally, you can find us on Instagram, Facebook and X, formerly Twitter, YouTube, Tumblr, Instagram and all popular podcast sites. Thank you, Gary.
Thanks, Bethany. It's been a pleasure as always.
And thank you, Ted.
Cheers, Bethany.
And thanks, Stan.
Yeah, cheers, Bethany.
And thank you to all of you for listening. Finally, let's not forget to keep it safe on the streets out there. Good night.
Our Millwall Fan Show is sponsored by G&M Motors of Gravesend, Honda dealers and much more. Thank you.